I lost 30 pounds without tracking macros or counting my calories. Those are things I used to do. I would rather show you why that never worked for me rather than tell you, so let's get into it. This is me after completing my holistic health coaching certificate. I was eating plant-based and was being extremely restrictive in my eating. This version of me did not eat any meat, really any oils, whether it was seed oil or not, anything out of a package. I was eating primarily fruits and vegetables. And before you say, that sounds great, let me just do that, let me show you the aftermath of that. Eating in an extremely restrictive way is just not sustainable. So, of course, once I started adding dairy products back in, meat products back in, going out to eat, I became extremely inflamed and I gained weight. What I see here more than weight gain just in my face is someone who is so inflamed. And as you can see, on days where I was bloated. I felt so uncomfortable in my body. So at this point, even though I was a holistic health coach, I'd felt so ashamed that I had lost weight while going through my course and then ended up gaining weight a few years later, yo-yoing back and forth. And I thought, you know what? I can calculate my macros on my own, but what I feel like I really need is structure, and I need a macro coach. So that's what I did. I signed up for a 6-month program with a macro coach. And yes, I did lose weight while tracking my macros, but the craziest thing to me is in this picture, I was eating 900 calories, okay? I did start in a reverse, which upped my calories to about 2,500, and then I slowly went down into my cut. But eating 900 calories over a 2-week period to sustain a cut, to me, was almost impossible. I completed my cut, and then I had the option to sign on with my macro coach for another 3 to 4 months to slowly start reversing back up to maintenance calories, and I did sign up for that. But after this picture was taken, I had been so good throughout my 6 months of macros. I tracked and logged every single piece of food that went into my mouth. I rarely ate out, and if I did, it was like Chick-fil-A or somewhere that had macros available for me to put into MyFitnessPal. And this night, I remember just like breaking down and ordering a pizza with my fiance, and that became just like the slipperiest slope. Because yes, even though I was still working with my macro coach, I started lying to her. I'll be completely honest. I felt so intimidated to tell her that I was eating way more than I was even telling her. Like, I would tell her, hey, like, I messed up. And the advice given, I mean, this company doesn't exist anymore, so I'll just say it. Their motto was, don't eat like an asshole. And so if I would message her and be like, I'm struggling, like, I'm hungry, it would be like, eat some cottage cheese, eat some egg whites, a rice cake, don't eat like an asshole. Well, I was eating like an asshole, I guess, because I ended up gaining all the weight back because being in a restrictive deficit and slowly taking up for so long didn't work for me. Not when I was working out, not when I was going to work and had other stressors in my life. The last thing that I needed was a bunch of food noise and then feeling extremely guilty for eating outside of my macros. So I ended up, of course, gaining all my weight back plus some. I felt so lost here. Again, I felt so ashamed that I was a holistic health coach, and I felt like I couldn't figure out what I needed to do. I was doing juice cleanses and detoxes during this time, trying to figure out how I can just get this weight off of me. Like, I just lost the weight and then I just gained it all back, and I was confused. So this is me on my 31st birthday this year, and I'm so happy to say that I finally figured out what worked for me. And what I realized is throughout the years, I've done juice cleanses, certain diets, counted my calories, tracked my macros, and all of those things for my personality and lifestyle apparently feel like too much, and they're not sustainable. In fact, the macro coach that I worked with, she had been tracking her macros for 7 years, and that to me is not freedom. I don't want to log my food. I don't want to log my food, and I don't want to count my calories, and I don't like the feeling that comes with going over your calories or your macros. It creates an extreme amount of anxiety for me, I realized, which then causes me to spiral more. Like, I already messed it up let's just keep going. And I'm the type of person, I'm eating if I'm sad, I'm eating if I'm happy, I'm eating if I'm bored. I don't need a reason to eat, okay? I like the taste of food, and I'm not someone who is very good at being restrictive anyway, but I've fallen into restrictive habits because I thought that was the only way. So I now know for myself, and I feel like actually probably for so many people, you need to find something that's sustainable. What really clicked for me is the amount that I had lost, the same 10 to 15 pounds, was insane, okay? I wouldn't step on the scale once I started creeping up to 140, 145, because I just didn't want to know. So I stayed at a space where I was 130 to probably like 150 for a couple of years. But it wasn't until I basically got stubborn with myself and said, I'm not going to keep losing and gaining this same weight over and over. Either I accept how I am, or I find a sustainable way to do this, because going on a juice cleanse for, a week, doing this really extreme harsh diet for 2 weeks, like that's not going to cut it anymore. It's not sustainable. And now I know what happens. I know the pattern. So what ended up working for me was walking and learning to eat intuitively. And that's it. Those are the two things that I know that I can stick to. I don't restrict myself. I don't eat in a crazy calorie deficit. I don't cut things out of my diet. That doesn't work for me. I eat in a way that I know is sustainable but moderate. And my cross to bear then is I'm gonna have to walk every single day. Even with that, even with the walking, I'm not crazy about it. I will just show you guys how much I've walked this week. Okay, I haven't gone on my walk yet today, but as you can see, I average about 7,350 steps a day. I try to aim for 10,000. If I don't get that, that's okay. But because I know I'm gonna walk every single day. I know that I'm going to put an effort in. I'm gonna put my ankle weights on, I'm gonna put my waist trimmer on, and I'm gonna walk. So I don't get obsessed about numbers, because I know for me that just feels very anxiety inducing, and that if I can just focus on what I need to do, like the way that I feel. Also, like my phone, I don't always keep my phone in my hand every single step that I take. Yes, I have like a Ultra Human ring. I don't wear that all the time because my body is gonna know like how many steps I've taken. Like I don't need a phone app or like a ring to necessarily tell me. Like I know if I took an adequate walk or not, So I say all that to say, like, I feel like I'm not trying to come on here and sound mean, but we make weight loss really this like stressful, crazy thing that it doesn't need to be. And I know, because I clearly, like, I did that for years, and all along I feel like if I would have just consistently walked and fed myself normally, I wouldn't have had to go through all those highs and lows to get to where I am. But I am happy that I have. I've gained a lot of trust and confidence in myself now, because I've been able to sustain something that for me in the past was always very unsustainable.